Good morning, dear students. Let's start our lesson 7. Today we're going to talk about IELTS reading, part 2. As you remember, in lesson 6, we started reading part 1, and today we're going to continue it. Here is the quick overview for today's lesson. First, I'm going to conduct a short quiz for you based on the lesson 6 knowledge. Second, I'm going to tell you more detailed description for scanning skill. Then we'll be talking about difference between true, false, not given, and yes, no, not given, because most of the students think that they are the same, but in fact they are quite different. And the last one, I'll introduce one type of multiple choice, which is matching names, which is quite similar actually to yes, no, not given. Okay, let's begin. First, here I have some questions for you. Could you please stop the video, read the questions, and answer them in your copybooks or in your mind? Do you know the answers? So the first question, how many reading passages or text do you have in IELTS reading? How much time do you have? Number 3, do you use pen or pencil? Number 4, do you have time for transferring answers to your answer sheets? Next, what should you read for practicing? And next question, is spelling important? And the last question, do you have to follow the order of answers number? Okay, so here are the answers. I hope you answer it all correct. So yes, we do have 3 texts, although we have 40 questions. That's quite a difference from listening section. Yeah, as you remember, in listening sections we have 4 sections, but in IELTS reading we have 3 texts, but also 40 questions. Next, you will be allocating 60 minutes. You should use pencil. There won't be any time for transferring, no extra time, which means in 60 minutes you'll have to you should have time to transfer your answers. Here are the literature that may help for practicing IELTS reading, which are academic articles, documentaries, and any type of non-fictional literature actually. Yes, spelling is important, of course, even if you spell let's say the answer is in plural, but you wrote it in singular, and then it's still considered as a mistake. So be careful in spelling. And the last question, no, you don't have to follow the answers. Unlike in listening, yeah, in listening you have to follow, like you have to start from 1 and until 10, right? You don't have a choice to choose which type of task you want to start, but in IELTS reading there is no such rule. Okay, so scanning skills, as you remember from previous lesson, we have 2 major skills for reading, right? Skimming and scanning. So today I'm going to talk about scanning. Scanning is a reading technique to be used when you want to find specific information quickly. In scanning, you have a question in your mind and you read the passage only to find the answer, ignoring unrelated information. So this scanning skill, mostly you will be using in these types of tasks: true, false, not given, diagram labeling, flowchart completion. As you notice, I didn't mention yes, no, not given, right? So in yes, no, not given, you're gonna use skimming technique more. I'm gonna tell you why. Here is the difference between these 2 mostly confused types of tasks. True, false, not given, you need to find information from the text. You need to find it and compare, is it true, false, or not given. For example, I know this is a very simple example, but it's just in order to explain the difference, right? So for example, children usually walk or cycle to school. So here is the information is walking or cycling. Okay, so it's just the information. And yes, no, not given, it is connected with author's opinion or view. For example, in the future, governments should maintain ownership of water in structures. So here we see the author's, let's say, suggestion or view or opinion, right? Like the author says, like government should have the have to own all the water infrastructures, right? So as you see, the big difference here in approaching the technique, in order to find the information, you need to use scanning skill. In order to find general opinion or view, you need to use skimming technique. Okay, here are more detail on these two types of tasks. True, false, not given. Actually, it's not the name of the task. The actual name is identifying information. Okay, in this type task, you should be able to recognize particular points of information from the text, and it can be used more in factual texts. By the way, in the next lesson, I'm gonna tell you the type of texts, and this true, false, not given is mostly used in factual texts, which means the text which has facts. And you will be given a number of statements, for example 5 statements, and ask to follow the statements, agree with the information in the text. And you will be required to write true, false, or not given in the boxes on your answer sheets. And it's really important to understand the difference between false and not given, because most of the times, and me myself, I usually always confuse, is it false or not given? But once you clearly understand the difference between false and not given, then it shouldn't be a problem. So false means that the passage states the opposite to of the statement in question. So you should have to see clear contrast between the statement and between the information given in the text. It's like you need to prove that this contradicts to the statement. And on the other hand, the not given means that the statement is neither confirmed or contradicted by the information in the passage. So for example, you have some let's say some information in the not given statement, and you might think that okay, actually this is true. Like for example, if the text is about sugar, and then in the statement says that consuming sugar harms your health, and then automatically you may write it's true based on your own experience, right? Based on your own knowledge. But in the text, there is no such fact that confirms or contradicts to the statement about harmness of the sugar. So in this case, you need to write not given. And here is the last thing about not given thing is that you need to understand that any knowledge that you bring from outside the passage should not play a part when deciding on the answers. So it means, don't base on your general knowledge. You need to be exact according to the passage text. Okay, so here is the example. As you see here, we have 6 statements, and you need to write true, false, or not given. In the practice material, you're gonna have the practice test for true, false, not given. Okay, now let's read more detailed on yes, no, not given. Again, The type of task, the name of the type of this task is not yes, no, not given. The name is identifying writer's view or claims. So in this type of task, you need to be able to recognize opinions, ideas, and it is often used in discursive or argumentative text. As you remember, true, false, not given is used in factual text, and this one is discursive or argumentative text. As I promised, in the next lesson, I'm going to tell you more detailed on types of texts. Okay, so you will be given a number of statements, again, just like in true, false, not given. And you need to identify these statements, agree with the, you see here, not information, but with the few views and claims of the writer, of the author, right? And then in your answer sheet, you should write full answer, yeah? You shouldn't write like Y or N or NG, right? So try to use full answer. Yes, no, not given. Okay, during the practice you can write Y, N, and G, but in a real test you should write full answer, just like for true, false, and not given. Okay, again, it is important to understand the difference between no and not given. No means the views or claims of the writer explicitly disagree with the statement. Yeah, so you need to have a clear proof that the statement contradicts with the statement in the text. And for example, here they give the example. For example, the writer somewhere expresses the view or makes a claim which is opposite to the one given in the question. And the last one, not given, means that the view or claim is neither confirmed nor contradicted. Again, you may have some opinion that is in the text, but it doesn't contradict or confirms with the writer's view. So please don't get distracted with this. Okay, so here is the example for yes, no, not given. Again, in your practice materials, you will have a chance to practice it. And the last type for today is matching names. This is the part of multiple choice type. In this task, you are required to match a set of statements or pieces of information to a list of options. In options, it will be like A, B, C, right? So in A, B, C, there might be written the names of the researchers. So like here, you will be required to match different research findings to a list of researchers. So you may have the list of names, or the names of the researchers, the names of the scientists, or there might be a characteristics to age group. So there might be groups like children, adults, and elders, for example. Or there might be events to a historical periods, for example, 19th century, 20th, and 21st century. So you may not see always the names as you see here, yeah? And this is very important. It is possible that some options will not be used. You see, so for example, 19th century, 20th, and 21st. So there might be that you won't use 19th century. Or on the other hand, you might be using the same option more than once. For example, you have 5 statements and you have 3 options, A, B, C. Yeah? So logically, some of the options will be repeated. And usually it is said in the instructions that options may be used more than once. And here is the example. As you see in the text, it is written, look at the following people and the list of statements below. Match each person with the correct statements. Write correct letter A, E in the boxes on your answer sheet. So here, it's not said that you need to use more than once. So here you have the list of statements and Again, as you see, 2 options are extra. Okay, that's all for today. As usual, your homework is step 1. You need to go to, not to Telegram, you need to go to the chat, which is named IELTS Essential Main. So I had to change the platform because of some plagiarism. So now you have 2 WhatsApp groups. The first one is, it's called IELTS Essential Main. You will go there, upload, download all the materials, print it out. This is really important for reading, guys, so please print it out, and only after that do the practice test. And step 2, you need to take a picture and send to the homework chat. That's all for today. So keep going, don't stop. Today is the lesson 7, which is almost the middle of our course. There is another half, so keep going, don't stop. Bye bye, have a nice day.